He suddenly became really good at freestyling.
We have never seen an example like this.
If he didn't get caught, he would have kept doing it.
He would use all of his friends as a use of defense. This was the first time we had ever seen actual coding to alter the files of replays.
The idea that there are no cheaters in Rocket League is a reassuring, if not naive, thought. It's one of the game's greatest perks. Hacks in Rocket League only exist in the context of mods for entertainment and clickbait garbage, but just because it hasn't happened before doesn't mean it isn't possible. And there are other ways to manipulate, deceive, and otherwise cheat the Rocket League community, some more nefarious than others. But none quite like the cheater we're talking about today, who used coding skills, manipulation, and lies to deceive an entire community. So how did he do it? And more importantly, how did he get caught? This is the true story behind the first cheater in Rocket League.
He started acting really weird when I asked for a certain clip. He sent me the replay and it crashed everyone's games if you tried to look at it.
He had basically used ball velocity commands.
Those are the voices of Nytrodrift and Taku. They're talking about the main character in this story, Jimmy.
Jimmy was a comp clip hitter.
His uniqueness in reverse camming, along with his mechanical consistency, are pretty much what made us want to bring him onto Redshift.
The freestyling side of Rocket League is a little smaller and more tight-knit than that of the competitive world. And just like living in a small town, everyone is going to know everyone, as well as their business. So when a relatively unknown comp clip hitter dropped one of the most incredible montages of all time, it was a bit of a surprise.
He uploaded that montage and I was literally like blown away. Like I literally thought he just was the best player ever.
This was the first montage we saw full shots in reverse cam.
Let's pause here because that detail is really important. One of the things that made Jimmy's montage so incredible was his usage of no-look reverse and manual cams. What that means is he would basically turn his camera away at the most difficult part of the shot. It's a really difficult, really cool stylistic move, and it's been used a little bit in the freestyling world, but never quite like this.
We hadn't even seen people's fails or attempts at doing something like this, so it was a very new thing.
I immediately wanted him to get in Redshift, vouched for him, and just thought it was completely insane.
It was just something completely new.
Unfortunately, it was also completely fake.
I first got suspicious when he made his next montage. It just had even more reverse cams and no cams. There was no like actual way to prove any of them were fake, but it was just suspicious.
As Jimmy gained more attention, he became too greedy and started to get more careless with how he faked his clips. Taku and Nitro were already suspicious simply because of how good the shots were. But with no way to prove it, they could only notice small issues.
We saw a lot of the ball doing those little jagged lines or teleporting after he had shot the ball, which was a red flag for me. That never happens when you're lagging. If anything, the server will just drop your inputs and the ball will fall down instead of constantly repositioning itself.
With only a few red flags, Nitro and Taku weren't able to do much, so Jimmy continued to fake clips. He even entered Get Your Game's Goal of the Week contest and won twice, bringing in $200. Nitro and Taku were in a tough position because anytime someone would call out Jimmy, he would just undermine their efforts with manipulation and lies.
He turned cheating into a joke.
He would just say, "I'm not cheating, bro, LOL." And then he would use all of his friends as a use of defense. And they would be the ones like, "Dude, it's real, bro. I've seen the replay. You know, I trust him," all that. And he would just use them to kind of have a vouch for why he hit those clips.
He kind of turned it into a meme. So like if anyone ever said he was cheating, he'd be like, "Yeah, I'm cheating, right?" Make all these jokes about it so that no one would actually take it seriously.
A lot of the stuff he did was for validation. He would always be asking me to comment on his videos. Like, if I comment, then that means he made it, surely. And that was really weird to me. No one else in Redshift does things like that for validation.
At this point, Nitro and Taku could have given up. Jimmy had deceived his closest friends just so that he can continue cheating to gain recognition. Not only that, By showcasing fake Rocket League plays as reality, he was setting impossible standards not just for the freestyle community, but for the entire Rocket League scene. The entire point of freestyling is to perform the cleanest, coolest looking shot possible through hours and hours and hours of repetition and practice. When someone undermines that entire idea by taking shortcuts, it robs the beauty of amazing clips from people that actually put in the work to do the real thing.
People in this community take clip hitting very seriously a lot of the time. The clips people go for are insanely hard. They'll like grind for months to do them. The edits on Redshift and the other teams, the editors will spend months. They're insane. It's an art form. Having someone who just like faked their clips to get into teams and stuff, it just like ruins the integrity of all of it.
There's a great example of a very similar situation happening in a new development in Rocket League AI technology known as TAS, or Tool-Assisted Speedruns. My friend Rocket Sledge recently posted a fantastic breakdown of how TAS is being used in the scene, so I won't go into too much detail because you should just watch that video, but basically all you need to know is it's now possible to use AI to perform ridiculous plays that would be literally impossible for a human. I'm talking like 100 flip resets in a row kind of thing. If the casual player sees this, they might not realize it's fake and feel desperately inadequate in their own human abilities. I mean, I already feel desperately inadequate watching pros that are just way better than me. I definitely don't need to compare myself to a Rocket League cyborg on top of that. When the line between truth and fiction becomes blurred, no one benefits. It's a little ironic that Jimmy, being a part of the freestyle community, was actually harming his own source of attention by being a fraud. And he almost got away with it. Almost.
Kind of wanted to start gathering as many replays of him as I could, so I started like asking around people that were in different teams that he was in.
Determined to get to the bottom of the situation and find the truth, Nitro and Taku began compiling every ounce of evidence they could find. In one of the most impressive exposés I've ever seen in the Rocket League scene, Nitro and Taku created a single Discord server with one purpose: to publicly display everything they found that proved Jimmy was indeed faking clips. Here's what they found.
The first command we found that started all this was called CL record FPS, and that was a command that allows you to change the tick rate of your replay and make it lower, which can make your touches look a lot more powerful.
CL record FPS in itself is not an issue at all. It's accepted in the freestyle community as a stylistic choice, comparable to altering the frame rate or shutter speed in a movie scene to make the motion seem more abrupt, like in the film Gladiator.
It doesn't really change it that much to the point where it would be considered like a fake clip. It just changes it a little bit.
You can see it makes it look like the player almost flicks the ball. It's kind of cool. So we found that. We were like, what else can you do with Bacchus? And we look at the other commands, and then there's ball velocity. And we're like, oh, and then you try it in a replay, and it looks exactly what Jimmy did on his clips.
I thought it only could work in training and land match and exhibition match, anything local. And then I tried it in a replay and realized that it actually could move the ball in a replay. It started looking really similar to Jimmy's clips.
Nitro and Taku were now on the right track. Jimmy was using custom commands similar to what's found in Bacchus Mod to alter his replays. Bacchus Mod in itself is the greatest third-party resource that's ever been created for Rocket League, laying the groundwork for almost every creative piece of content to come out of the game, including a very solid majority of the videos on my channel. Not to mention endless quality of life and training tools that have pushed the game to new heights. But even the most innocent of modding tools can be abused. And Jimmy didn't just stop at changing the speed of his shots with the ball velocity command. It goes much, much deeper.
Knockback is something involved in freestyling. When you score, you'll be close enough to the net that the explosion will push you back, and you can kind of continue the freestyle from there. It's kind of bad if you score it and then you stop pressing your controller.
The knockback is directional, so based on where the ball explodes in the net, you will get knocked back like from that direction.
This means that since Jimmy would literally alter the path of the ball in his replays, you can actually see where he got careless and would artificially send the ball to a more satisfying location in the net, but the knockback from the goal explosion would then be wrong, since it's based on the exact position of the ball in the net at the time of the goal.
Another thing thing that's pretty big is this thing called a two-touch. That's basically where you hit the ball and it pinches on your car.
It's like a flick, but you didn't start from dribbling it. You just do it in midair, so it goes faster than just a normal hit would have been.
You guessed it, add the two-touch to the list of things Jimmy would fake in his clips.
He claimed that he lagged on like every clip he hit.
But it gets even worse. Remember that first montage that he uploaded with the groundbreaking reverse cam shots?
He would just score a normal clip, like using ball cam, looking at the ball the whole time, and then save the replay and use a plugin, and then you can do whatever you want with your camera. So he would reverse cam himself in that replay and save a new replay, but the initial shot in game that we won't see, it was just a normal shot that Joe Schmo scored.
He like converts the replay file into Python, and then he can change the values and stuff and then convert it back to a replay.
He would change the velocity of the ball to make it look faster, have better placement, ball angular velocity, player velocity, his camera inputs, reverse cams or swivel cams, and he used the CL record FPS replay, which is fine.
Jimmy would use that CL record FPS command as an excuse for why the ball would sometimes look weird.
He would be like, oh, it's just because it was CL port FPS 10. We didn't actually figure this out until after, and he just admitted to it, but he also changed the Steam ID of opponents in his games.
This was the detail I could barely believe. Jimmy would play split screen with himself, join as a second player, then freestyle on himself, then change the Steam ID of his second car so it looked like he was freestyling on a real player. Like, bro.
I think if he didn't get caught, he would have kept doing it. He just kind of got greedy with how insane he wanted to make his clips.
He only felt bad to the people he was manipulating once he was caught. His statement on it, he was just like, please, can I have my friends back? Sorry, I cheated.
We saw like some of his DMs to other people right after it happened, and a lot of it was him being proud of it, that he was able to fake clips for so long. So, yeah.
As I listened to Nytro and Taku wrap up their story, I realized I had a big problem with making this video. The motivation for Jimmy to cheat and fake clips was pretty clear. It was for validation. By making this video, no matter how negatively he's portrayed, I'm still ultimately giving Jimmy exactly what he wants: attention. So to solve this problem, I'm gonna reveal something. The cheater's name is not Jimmy. I don't want this guy to get anything out of this, not even hate, because negative attention is still attention. So let's all focus instead on the real heroes of this story, who put in real time and effort just to preserve the authenticity of the community that they love. That's the story that deserves attention. I'm SunlessKhan. Thanks for watching.